Hey guys, Tech Guy back out with another PC build. Today's PC build is going to be a $350 PC build. This PC is going to be able to run all games at 1080p at decent settings and pretty good frame rates. You can even run games like Battlefield 4 at medium at around 30 to 40 frames. So it shouldn't drop below 30 even in higher or more intensive scenes. So it's a pretty good build actually for the price. And I wouldn't go much lower of a price for a PC build than this. Because if you have a lower budget than $350 or $400, and you're going to start stepping into areas where you probably can't really like dig yourself out of, you have to buy a whole nother PC, or you have to buy like more than one part to upgrade your PC. But this is going to be a decent computer for the price, and you're going to get decent frame rates on even the modern games, even more recently released games. So let's go and get straight into this. First off, we have the CPU, and for the CPU, with the AMD Athlon X4 860K. This has a stock clock of 3.7 GHz, and it has a turbo of 4.0. I didn't go with the Pentium G because that CPU is usually only good if you do overclocking with it, and to do overclocking, you're going to need a decent CPU cooler, and I didn't really have the budget, or I couldn't really stay within the budget and get a CPU cooler. But if you do want to go with that, even though it's not multi-threaded and it's a dual-core CPU, you can get some more performance out of it if you overclock it further. But this for a quad-core AMD CPU, this is definitely really good. You can do some overclocking with this, of course, too. But I would definitely buy a aftermarket CPU cooler. Yeah, it's all around a decent CPU. And you also can, upgrade to a better one in the future. But for this, only $70, definitely go with that instead of the Pentium. Next up, we have the motherboard, and for the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte GA F2A68HMH. This is an FM2 Plus based processor, and it has 6 SATA 6 gigabit ports, or 4 SATA 6 gigabit ports. Has 2 USB 3.0 ports and 4 USB 2.0 ports. You can see those there. It's got your audio jacks. I believe it also has RAID support, and it has 4 RAM slots. So obviously, if you want to upgrade to 16 gigabytes in the future, from what I have in here, then you can do that. But yeah, pretty good motherboard for only $47, and I would definitely go with this from Outlet PC. Next up, we have the RAM, and for the RAM, I went with the G.Skill NS series. This is 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes. I mean, this isn't the most reliable RAM. It's not the fastest. It only has a cast latency of 11, so it's going to be a little bit slower. But, I mean, it's decent RAM for the price. It is dual channel, which is definitely a lot better than this single DIMM. So, and it's only $42. I don't know how reliable it is, but, I mean, it is from G.Skill, so it should be decent. Hopefully, you won't have any problems with either of the sticks. And for this price, it's definitely going to be really good RAM, hopefully. Or it hopefully will be a really good RAM, but for this price you can't really beat it, is what I meant to say. Next up, we have the storage, and for the storage I went with the Seagate Barracuda 1TB. This is clocked at 7,200 RPM. Obviously, I really highly recommended a hard drive, as well as the Western Digital Blue. But if you do have another hard drive in a like in a spare computer, or if you just have a hard drive laying around, definitely just go ahead and get a SSD for the same price. You can get maybe a Kingston for the same price, like 120 gigabyte. I know those went down a lot in price because of the part switching things in the SSDs, but I'd say they're still probably reliable because they did say they switched it back, and they're not going to keep the parts changed after what happened. So I mean, you can go for one of those. I believe there's also a Corsair one for like $55. So do whatever you want, but definitely I would go for a mass storage instead of an SSD, unless you can fit games on 120 gigabyte SSD, then go ahead and do that. Next up, we have the GPU, and for the GPU with the MSI GTX 750 Ti. This is a 2 gigabyte video card, and it's actually, like I said, it's going to be able to get pretty decent frame rates at good settings on even the modern games. And there's also a $15 mail-in rebate if you want to use that from SuperBiz. You can get it for $98 with a mail-in rebate, but I honestly don't believe those are, legit. It actually expires today, so I don't even want to be uploading this, so never mind that anyways. Yeah, it's got 4 display ports. You got your DVI-D, It's that's 2 DVI-Ds, VGA, and an HDMI. And all around a pretty good GPU for the price. You can overclock it, which I would recommend to get the most performance out of it. So I mean, okay for the price, and this actually outperforms the R7 260X. So yeah, go with this instead of that, and you'll be good. Next up, we have the case/power supply. I wanted to make this build really good for games, so I had to cut back on something, and this is what I went with. I went with a case with a built-in power supply. You really never should cut back on the power supply, so what I would recommend, instead of doing this, if you have a little bit extra cash, to go with this, I mean, you can go for like a $30, you can go for the Cougar Spike, and then like a 80+ certified power supply, the EVGA 430 watt one, and that'll be a lot more reliable than this, but it's actually a pretty decent looking case. It's got a blue LED right here, as you can see the fan. It's got 2 USB 2.0 ports in the front, and you got your audio ports. I think it also has support for more fans, like one right here, and I believe it also has an included one right there, and you can fit one on the top as well. So it's an okay case for only $28. But definitely, if you have the spare money, go for a separate power supply and a separate case. Anyways, guys, that's basically the whole build. Hopefully, this helped you out, and hopefully you guys will, this is going to be good for your first build if you guys are if you guys are getting into PC gaming, switching over console, or if you just want to build your first PC. This is going to be good for you. And yeah, guys, hopefully you all enjoy. Don't forget to drop a like if you did enjoy this, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.